Alright, y'all. So, like I said, I'm going to break this down. I know at times I'll get passionate and I'll get winded. And I know sometimes you guys just don't have enough time. I understand that. But it's the message. It's the message intended. And you deserve to have that. Because, for one, you guys are intelligent. Some of y'all are just brilliant. And you're you know, you're going to come into your season next year, too. I got a feeling on that. You know, some of you are going to have your name be exalted, and everybody's going to know, wow, we were actually in the midst of a gem waiting to be released. But that's why diamonds are rare. When you're in the midst of a area of diamonds, if it's rough, it's ugly. It doesn't stand out between one rock and the you don't know, but it's what's inside that, the forming, the pressure of it, to finally at the right time, by God's doing, it's released. Your season's coming. Some of you have been holding on for a very, very long time, and you're like, you know what? If I stay patient, if I stay dedicated, if I stay vigilant, I'll have my day. Your day is coming next year, I'm telling you. So when you walk into your season of harvest, just remember, that guy told me, no, it's not me, it's from the Spirit. Because you deserve it, because you're doing the work, because seeing your worth. That's why they say no weapon formed against you shall prosper, because guess what? As long as you take a position of love in your steps, by loving yourself first, nothing can stop you. Matter of fact, the more they try, the more you'll grow, because that's how love is. That's how God is. He's ever flowing. His omnipresence is everywhere, and He protects His own. So you're going to be fine. You're going to be fine. But let's get back to why I'm doing these videos. Okay, so last night, I had TV on. You hear it in the background, and I think it was NBC did a story about this family. I think they were in Iowa or something, and unfortunately, there was death there. And when they started to dig deep, they saw a pattern. And it was from the outside, people were like, they were like the typical family. Why would this be the case? I can't believe. And when they started to really unravel the things that were being revealed, they saw that there had been emotional abuse that had been there from the beginning. That means from the development of the children to the parents and beyond. So when I saw that really moved me, because I was thinking, like, why is it with the technology that we have, the endless knowledge that's found on the internet, you would think that people they have access to anything. You would think, well, hey, red flag right here, I need to take the most appropriate action to either protect myself or to sustain what I have. But I've also come to understand that society has this position of take names, ask questions later. The outcome meets the means. And there's no empathy in the world, and that's why chaos flourishes. So let's go a little deeper, okay? I know some of you may have come from a family where it seemed loveless, There was a lot of combative energy in your environment, and it may have seemed like the people that should have been there to protect you were the ones that were inflicting it. And having to, first of all, it was not your fault. It was not. And when you are dealing with emotional abuse, it is very common, especially when it's a domestic situation, when there's a battered spouse. You always hear you always hear this same thing. They get to a point where they become numb. They'll build up emotional walls, and even at points adapt alter ego or persona, which causes them to black out through that traumatic. They'll literally black out from it, and whatever happens, if it's physical, may it be verbal, which I personally believe the worst thing that you can ever do is use verbal abuse on a person, especially when they can't defend themselves, especially when they don't understand, especially when you are supposed to be their protector. And I'm gonna tell you guys, when I saw that story, it moved me so much that I got very angry. I got angry. Come on, get up here. I got angry, and I immediately went into prayer. I'm gonna tell you, this guy that you're looking at right here. Let me make sure I got this right. This guy that you're looking at right here. Oh, I can relate to all that. I can relate to it. But it also, excuse me, I also know that these are going to be the things that I've gone through that's going to help me make a difference so someone else won't. That is why I believe that God had allowed me to go through a lot of things so that I can prepare myself, so that when I'm able to stand before the world and say, my name is Gerald Davis. Skirt. No, I am Dr. Davis, psychologist, and I'm here to get you well, to point you in the right direction. Though we all have free will, we do, but it should not come at the price of your heart. So let's spin it. Let's talk about those. Let's talk about the voiceless. Let's talk about the children. See, some of you were raised in households where mommy was very verbal. She may have been the disciplinarian. Daddy was the peacekeeper, or vice versa. And there was some damage done. Now, I'm not talking about in the level of how the discipline was given. Now, I'm a firm believer of this. Spare the rod, spoil the child. I ain't for that. However, I also have come to understand that your most strongest weapon of deterrent is psychology and love. You hear what I'm saying? Psychology and love. But I can say it from my opinion, and I probably will get people that will disagree, but that's fine, because at least you're talking about it. That's going to set a form to do something about it. One of the most chronic problems, especially in our community, is anything that has to do with emotional issues. The black culture shuns from it because we automatically put a stigma behind it. We automatically think, he crazy, But all you're doing is downplaying the problem. And little do you know, the problem may have already been there before you came in contact with it. But see, it's like a double-edged sword. I'll explain. My parents, the worst thing that you can ever do is alter the mind of a child. Do you hear what I'm saying? The worst thing you can do is alter the mind of a child. I've come to learn that 9 times out of 10 if a child is acting out because there's something that child lacks from the parent. If little Johnny is acting out a certain behavior, it's probably because it's a reflection of the emotional response of the parent. You may see it in their grades. You may see it in their behavior. They may take a position of alienation. They may take a position, God forbid, mutilation, or worse, exploitation. I've come to understand that about 85% of the women, and I'm saying this out of love, ladies, because you deserve this. You deserve to be happy. But hear my words. About 85% of the women that walk around on this planet that want to have a good mate are not good mates. Why? Because it was a learned behavior. That's why emotional walls, emotional baggage go hand to hand. Because in your mind you might want resolution, but you don't know how to go about it because your ego and your pride prevents you from getting help. And what happens is you end up attracting the same person that really is you. I'm a firm believer. What is found in your heart, you will manifest in your life. So if you take a position of, well, on to the next one, guess what? The next one going to hurt you even more than the one before because you have not seen your self-worth to heal. That's why people that take a position of serial daters, being a serial dater, 9 times out of 10, they've got mental issues. They got so much emotional damage going on up here, and they're suffering in silence. Because deep down inside, all they want to do is quench the feel safe, to feel the love that they never got as a parent, from their parents. That's why it's very important. I tell you, my kings, if you're not in your child's life, I don't care how much time has gone past, you get in their life, because guess what? If you do not, they're going to grow up in a way that you don't want. And you're going to live with that guilt because you could have prevented it. I mean, we have free will, but let's look at that pink elephant in the room. Why do you think that so many women will prefer to do weaves? That's right, ladies. I'm going to put that there because I love you. Why do you do that and alter yourself? Why? Because your self-esteem. That self-esteem says you're not worthy unless you go beyond the call of duty. But little do you know that you're priceless, only to allow a thief in your temple. That's why they ain't going to stick around, because guess what? They're just as broken as you, if not worse. Some have gotten to a position of condoning their behavior. They think they've gotten away with it, but little do they know those same seeds they planted are going to harvest. They're going to harvest, and those are the people that end up being by themselves. Mind, body, especially the body, wrecked. Why? Because, number one, they don't have a spiritual connection. They don't. Why? because they don't want to connect nowhere near their conscience. So they take a position of, well, if Johnny did it to me, I'm going to do it to Steve. Well, if Philip did it, then I'm going to do it to Red. Well, if Red did it to me, I'm going to do it to Bill. But guess what? The more and more that you stay in denial, the more and more you allow people to exploit you. That's why you can never find love, because number one, you're going against the protocol. God already said, when a man seeks a woman, it is deemed good. But if he's not spiritually grounded, he's working for the away team. All he wants to do is run up in you slow, bring his problems to your life, and emotionally rape you. That's not your life. That's not your life. That's not your life. Stop claiming something that you ain't. I had to learn that for myself. I had to do it. One day I had a stark revelation. One day I woke up and I was like, you know what? Why am I out here searching for something I can't find? Because what I was looking for was within me. So, what I'm saying to you, my kings, it's time for you to check yourself. Here's a telltale sign you got low self-esteem. You let your pants sag. You don't care how the world views you. And you deal with it. You take that. And you use denial as a mask. Like, I don't care, I'm hard. Yeah, you hard. You're hard. But even a hard diamond can be broken. You see your worth, you won't put yourself out there. I'm saying this because, listen y'all, I love each and every one of y'all. And I know somebody's coming into your life. May have been from your parents to the guy that knocked on your door. And they had ill intent. That's why I said speak your truth. Because when you speak your truth, two things are going to happen. You're going to be protected, and you're going to have courage to look at that pink elephant in the room. That's fear. You wasn't. I mean, come on now, really. Why do you think people go through that season of realizing when they reflect and say, you know what? The one that got away. Why did they get away? Why? Because you wasn't, even though they saw your worth, you didn't see it. Now let's go back. Let's go back. I know Tyson, see, even Tyson knows I'm telling the truth. Because I'm only going to hit you with love. My parents. If you are using words as a weapon to more or less raise your children, you are basically telling your child the pain and everything I went through from my development was in vain. Because trust when I tell you this, every tear that you have that's fallen from your eye, for every lie that you have spoken, for every deception that you've embraced, number one, you're gonna eventually get tired of running. But what is going to happen is that child is going to turn around and grow up to be just like you. Don't wreck your children's life or your child's life. Don't do that. You're going to pay a price so severe because it's made out of malice. There's no love in it. And I'm going to go into that in a couple videos down. I think I'll do 6, and then I'm going to bounce off of this one. So let's start talking about it. Because that's the only way we're going to be able to get through this, by knowledge. And I think you guys are worth it. So we're going to talk about that in the next one. As I always say, God is praying for you. You know I am. I see your worth. But it's up to you to claim it. Stay blessed, y'all. Bye.